My wife, you're so beautiful. Beside the luxurious Heinzmann crystal piano, Zane Pei was locked in a passionate kiss with Ru Lin when his phone suddenly rang urgently. Being interrupted in such a moment clearly displeased him. However, upon seeing that the caller was his best friend Zhou Shu, he still answered the call. As soon as the call connected, he reminded Zhou Shu in German, "Speak German. Brother Pei, at your wedding with Ru Lin next month, are you really planning to run away?" Run away? Ru Lin froze. His kindness to her, his unwavering devotion, it was all fake. All fake. Lin Yongchao dares to offend Brother Pei, he really is a piece of trash. Zhou Shu continued in standard German, but I have to say his sister is really stunning. I've never seen a woman more beautiful than her. Brother Pei, once you're done with the runaway wedding and the game is over, you'll dump her, right? Can I have a go with her then? There were clearly other people around Zhou Shu. Overwhelmed by fury and disappointment, Ru Lin felt an icy chill spreading through her chest. What's this about running away from the wedding? Then she heard his careless and unrestrained voice. If I don't run away, should I really marry her? You all know I only pursued her deliberately because I have a grudge against her older brother. Her brother is already dead. Since the brother's debt can't be repaid, of course I have to take it out on her. Lin Yongchao cherished his only sister so much. If he knew that not only did I toy with his precious sister, but I also ran away from the wedding humiliating her, wouldn't he die with everlasting regret? Ru Lin's fingers trembled violently, her body shivered with cold, and her heart felt as if it had plunged into an icy abyss, completely frozen. She had no idea what grudges existed between her elder brother and Zane Pei. All she knew was that after the death of her brother, who had been her sole support, Zane Pei appeared by her side. He accompanied her, comforted her, and took care of her. With his deep affection and care, he slowly mended her shattered heart, reviving her despairing soul bit by bit. She thought that Zane Pei was a ray of light she had grasped in the dark abyss. Now she finally understood that the light had never belonged to her from the beginning. And me? Ru Lin's waist is so damn slim, I've been craving her for ages. Brother Pei, can I have a shot at her too? With a face like hers, I could go 8 times in one night. Soon Ru Lin heard several others speaking in German. Ru Lin is a dance student. I've heard that taking a dance student from behind is an out-of-this-world experience. Ru Lin dances so well, I really want to find out just how intoxicating she feels. Count me in when the time comes. I don't mind joining you all. I can go 10 times in one night. Haha, I can't wait any longer. A chilling frost swiftly spread across Zane Pei's roguishly handsome face. Her entire body trembling as if trapped in an endless blizzard. She had been with Zane Pei for so long, she knew better than anyone just how possessive he was. She had thought that even if he had approached her solely for revenge, he would never tolerate his friends coveting her body. Their words had been so vulgar, so repulsive, she had truly believed he would erupt in anger. To her surprise, she heard him say, "I'm a clean freak. Stay away from her until the show is over. After I've had my fun with this runaway marriage, you can do whatever you want. Bro Pei, when are you coming? We're all waiting for you in the private room, and Mirachin is here too." Zhou Shu paused, then added, "She lost the game, truth or dare, and now she has to find someone for a 3-minute French kiss." With those words, Zane Pei hung up the phone. Clearly, he was in a hurry to go share a French kiss with the girl he'd been sponsoring. Thus, his feigned affection and duplicity were utterly transparent before her. The day she accompanied her teacher abroad happened to be her wedding day with Zane Pei. If he enjoyed acting and belittling others' sincerity, then she would play along with him. The Pei family's background was unique, and its members were forbidden from traveling abroad. In this lifetime, she and Zane Pei were destined to walk separate paths, he toward the south, she toward the north. After hanging up the phone, she turned her head and caught sight of the photo on the nightstand, the one where Zane Pei had secretly kissed her. She frantically smashed the glass photo frame to pieces. But simply shattering the photo frame wasn't enough to vent her anger. Remembering the custom wedding dress Zane Pei had ordered for her and their wedding photos, which had been delivered just yesterday and placed in the side bedroom, she stormed in, shredded the expensive gown, and destroyed all the wedding photos. "If you don't come, no one will help her with the kiss, and she'll have to drink 3 shots of hard liquor. After all, she's the girl I've been sponsoring. Don't bully her. I'm on my way now." He didn't kiss Ru Lin again, swiftly carrying her into the master bedroom with one arm while gently brushing away the stray hairs on her forehead. Wife, I'm going to a meeting. I'll be back soon. Ru Lin didn't speak, just closed her eyes and numbly turned her face away. He thought that as a dance student she wouldn't understand German. In reality, by the time she was 8 years old, she had already mastered 6 foreign languages fluently. Suddenly, Ru Lin felt that liking Zane Pei was utterly meaningless. After closing the door tightly, Ru Lin dialed a phone number. Teacher, in half a month, I'm willing to go abroad with you. She was determined to see just how surprised he would be when, at their wedding half a month later, he discovered she had fled the ceremony. Thinking of him kissing Mirachin intimately in the private room, unable to tear themselves apart, she suddenly found this photo particularly glaring. As she stepped out of the side room, she noticed the crystal ball on the low shelf beside her. This crystal ball was custom-made last year for Zane Pei's birthday, ordered by her. Inside the sparkling transparent crystal ball was a pair of deeply affectionate figures nestled together, her and Zane Pei. Snowflakes fluttered down, landing on her and Zane Pei's heads, as if they were destined to grow old together. Once upon a time, Ru Lin dreamed of growing old with Zane Pei. But now she no longer wants to grow old with him. She suddenly grabbed the crystal ball and smashed it to pieces. Not only the crystal ball but everything she had given to Zane Pei, she dug them all out. What could be smashed was smashed and what couldn't be was simply thrown away. It was as if she had completely discarded the heart that once deeply loved Zane Pei with no turning back. All this took quite some time and effort, and it wasn't until the early hours of the morning that Ru Lin had destroyed everything. After her bath she quickly felt drowsy. In her dazed state, just as she was about to fall asleep, she suddenly felt a weight beside her. The next second her skirt was pushed up, and Zane Pei's hand slipped inside. Wife. Zane Pei had strong desires. They had just been intimate in the evening and now he wanted it again. He flipped over and pinned her beneath him, his hands wreaking havoc while he kissed her deeply. His kiss was scorching yet tender, as if weaving an inescapable web of passion around her. Once, Ru Lin had particularly loved kissing him, losing herself in the intoxication, unable to break free. But now, remembering how eagerly he had rushed to the club to share a French kiss with Mirachin, his fervent kisses and caresses only filled her with disgust. I have a stomachache and don't feel like doing it. Why aren't you feeling well? Hearing her say she wasn't feeling well, Zane Pei instantly became extremely nervous. He turned on the bedside lamp, gently held her in his arms, and with his warm hand, carefully massaged her stomach. Does this feel any better? Ru Lin didn't speak immediately. She just raised her face and stared at him blankly. His thin lips were tightly pressed together, and his beautiful peach blossom eyes were filled with nothing but concern and heartache for her. As if he truly loved her so much. But a man's unwavering devotion can be acted out. He exhausted his acting skills to weave a beautiful dream for her, only to seek revenge and push her into an abyss of eternal suffering. Because she chose to play along, she didn't push him away. She lowered her eyelids slightly, concealing all emotions in her eyes, and said softly, "Much better. I'm tired and want to sleep." "All right, I'll sleep holding my wife." Zane Pei possessively wrapped his arms around her, about to turn off the lights when his phone notification chimed. The message was from a WeChat contact he had saved as German client. Previously, this German client had frequently messaged him. She assumed it was a work-related contact and never gave it much thought, nor had she ever checked his phone. But tonight she vaguely sensed something and still glanced at his phone screen. He usually communicated with the German client in German. As soon as she lowered her gaze, she saw the German message from the German client. "Brother Pei, didn't you want to see me in sexy outfits? The little cat-made costume I bought online has arrived, complete with a cat tail. Will you come over to keep me company tonight?" Soon, Zane Pei's car came to a stop outside a villa. "You look beautiful." His car was parked not far away. Soon he carried Mirachin into his car. His eyes were solely fixed on Mirachin, completely oblivious to Ru Lin standing nearby. Ru Lin stood there numbly, watching him and Mirachin cling to each other, unwilling to part, watching him urgently help Mirachin into the car, her heart wrenching in agony. The night breeze carried Mirachin's coquettish voice to her ears. "Brother Pei, do you like me more or do you like Sister Ru Lin more?" After half a minute, Ru Lin finally heard his derisive laugh. laced with unmistakable coldness. She's just a plaything for amusement. How could she ever compare to you? A plaything for amusement. The sharp pain in her chest made Ru Lin almost unable to breathe. Yet, clutching her heart as if being slowly sliced by a blunt knife, Ru Lin smiled. Because Zane Pei thought she didn't understand German, he didn't deliberately hide the messages from the German client when reading them in front of her. His Adam's apple bobbed as he quickly typed in German, "Get dressed and wait for me outside. I want to try it in the car tonight." After replying, he glanced at Ru Lin with reluctant longing. "There's an issue with the company's business in Germany. I need to go to the office. Honey, go to bed early. Tomorrow morning I'll buy you your favorite strawberry cake." Ru Lin nodded slightly, wrapping herself tightly in the blanket, looking as if she was ready to obediently go to sleep. After Zane Pei drove away, she no longer felt the slightest bit sleepy. She quickly got dressed, got out of bed and followed him in her car. She knew that the German client was most likely Mira Qin, but she still wanted to confirm it once more, to make herself completely give up. Mira Qin had already been waiting outside, wearing a cat ear headband. The fabric of her catgirl outfit was so thin that Ru Lin felt embarrassed just looking at it. Seeing Zane Pei, a faint blush instantly appeared on Mira Qin's innocent face. "Brother Pei, it's my first time dressing like this. It feels so strange." Zane Pei wickedly pulled her into his embrace, suddenly cupping the back of her head before urgently capturing her red lips. She couldn't help but recall the scene a month ago when, on a whim, she had cooked and accidentally cut her hand. It was just a minor injury, yet he held her hand, his eyes red with heartache, blaming himself over and over, saying he shouldn't have let her cook. She felt both sweetness and helplessness, saying the cut was shallow and just needed a little iodine, that he didn't need to be so nervous. But he held her tightly in his arms, overwhelmed with emotion, saying he couldn't help it, who told Ru she was the most precious treasure of his life. And foolishly she believed she truly was his most cherished treasure. Foolishly thinking to entrust her entire next life to him. Only tonight did she finally realize that Ru Lin was never the most precious treasure in Zane Pei's heart, but merely a plaything for amusement. The more Ru Lin thought about it, the more absurd it seemed. She laughed until tears poured down like rain, her heart utterly shattered. In the end, the heart died and turned to ashes. After leaving from here, Ru Lin did not return to the marital home she shared with Zane Pei. She simply drove aimlessly, circling around the empty streets again and again, from the spread of night to the faint light of dawn, from the silence of all things to the hustle and bustle of traffic. When the sky was fully bright, she drove straight to the hospital. Yesterday she just found out she was pregnant. Originally she wanted to give Zane Pei a surprise. But today she went to the hospital for an abortion procedure. Her scheduled time was 10 a.m. Waiting in the corridor for the abortion, she kept telling herself that this child, from the moment of birth, was destined never to have a complete family or a father's love. It was especially unfair to him. But when she actually stood outside the abortion room, she found herself unable to enter. She truly couldn't bear to part with this child. Rula. Hearing the doctor call her name again, she could no longer stay there. Turning around, she ran forward like mad. Darling. She never expected to run into Zane Pei and Mira Qin here. Zane Pei was originally holding Mira Qin's hand tightly, but upon seeing her he quickly let go. His handsome face, usually brimming with recklessness, was now unusually filled with panic. Especially when Ru Lin's gaze fell on the pregnancy test report in Mira Qin's hand, he became even more flustered. However, as a seasoned tycoon who had navigated the business world with ease, he soon regained his composure. He stepped forward, affectionately and concernedly holding Ru Lin's hand, his deep dark eyes filled with nothing but care and anxiety for her. Honey, why are you at the hospital? Are you feeling unwell somewhere? Noticing Ru Lin's gaze still fixed on the pregnancy test report in Mira Qin's hand, he quickly explained, Honey, this is Mira Qin. You should remember her. She's the young girl you saved a year ago. I saw her boyfriend hitting her on my way home. Remembering that you once saved her, I was afraid you'd worry, so I brought her to the hospital. I never expected she was actually pregnant. She's already pregnant and her boyfriend still hit her. That scumbag is really despicable. Ru Lin naturally remembered Mira Qin. She also remembered how a year ago Mira Qin was bullied by two thugs, and she had stepped in bravely to save her. She saw the little girl wearing shoes with holes in them and felt sorry for her, so she transferred 20,000 yuan to her, hoping she could live a better life in the future. At the time, Mirachin thanked her profusely, saying that once she graduated and earned money, she would definitely repay her. She never expected Mirachin to repay her, but she also never imagined that the girl she had helped would betray her and climb into her fiancé's bed. "Honey, why aren't you saying anything? What exactly is bothering you?" Seeing Ru Lin standing frozen in place as if she had lost her soul, Zane Pei grew so anxious that he simply scooped her up in his arms. "Honey, are you feeling really unwell? Don't be afraid, I'll call the doctor right now to give you a thorough checkup." Ru Lin still didn't speak immediately. She lifted her face and stared fixedly at Zane Pei. Zane Pei is the sole heir of the wealthy and influential Pei family. By the age of 20, he had already taken over the Pei Corporation. In the business world, he wields an iron fist, earning him the reputation of a ruthless and merciless living Yama in the eyes of many. The world says he is cold by nature, indifferent and unfeeling. Yet in her presence he has always been vibrant and deeply affectionate. Even if he got Mirachin pregnant with his child, holding her so tightly in his arms, the adoration in his eyes still sparkled like stars, as if she were the only one in his world. She tried to discern any pretense in his gaze, to catch a glimpse of insincerity. Yet she found none. With such impeccable acting skills, it's truly a shame he didn't become an award-winning actor. "Wife, can you say something to me? Don't scare me like this, okay?" "I'm fine." Ru Lin half lowered her eyelids, playing along with his act. "This is the obstetrics and gynecology department. What else could I possibly be here for?" Hearing her words, Zane Pei's strikingly beautiful peach blossom eyes instantly brightened as if they contained an entire dazzling galaxy. "Darling, you..." Ru Lin didn't let him continue guessing, cutting him off directly. "It's not me. I came to the hospital to accompany my cousin for her prenatal checkup." A flicker of disappointment quickly flashed in Zane Pei's eyes. He realized he actually longed for a child who carried both his and Ru Lin's blood. "My cousin went for an ultrasound and will be out in a while. You should take the little girl back. First, I'm here to keep you company. Mirachin isn't a child anymore. She can go back by herself." Zane Pei tightly held her hand, reluctant to let go. She urged him several more times before he finally agreed to escort Mirachin back first. After he accompanied Mirachin downstairs, Ru Lin couldn't help but stand by the window. By the time she looked down, Zane Pei and Mirachin had already reached the ground floor. Unlike in her presence, where they maintained a clear boundary as if they were strangers, downstairs at the outpatient department, Mirachin nestled softly in his arms, acting coquettishly. From time to time she would grab his hand and press it against her lower abdomen. Whatever he said must have embarrassed her, as her face turned red, and she playfully pounded his chest with her small fists. Their playful banter soon led to another kiss, completely oblivious to the world around them. Ru Lin didn't continue watching. She had just turned around when she received a message from Mirachin. "Sister Ru Lin, you probably guessed it, the child in my belly is Brother Pei's. Do you know why I came to the hospital today? Brother Pei was too wild with me last night and I started bleeding. Brother Pei said that being with an old woman like you, as lifeless as a dead fish, is utterly boring. He prefers lively young girls like me, he'd rather die on me." Ru Lin had long known that Zane Pei didn't love her, and she had witnessed his infidelity with her own eyes. Yet upon receiving Mirachin's provocative message and recalling how he favored Mirachin, the pain in her heart still lingered. It was like a knife plunged into her chest. Even when pulled out, the ache remained. How laughable. At just 24 she had already become the old woman in Mirachin's words. However, compared to 18-year-old girls tender as flower buds, she was indeed no longer young. She directly replied to Mirachin, "Then I wish you never turned 24. After sending this message, she didn't look at her phone again but turned back to the abortion room. Just moments ago she had genuinely considered keeping this child. But now she has changed her mind. Lying on the cold operating table, she couldn't help but recall that night 3 years ago when she gave herself to Zane Pei. He kissed her with near reverence. They had even talked about having children. He said she's still too young now and he can't bear to let her get pregnant. In a few years he wants her to have a little baby for him. Preferably a daughter. A daughter as smart and beautiful as her. In this life he wanted only her. The mother of Zane Pei's child could only be Ru Lin. Yet while he showered her with vows as vast as the sea, he refused to give her even a shred of sincerity. He broke his promises and betrayed her unwavering devotion. So she stopped giving him little babies. When she had the miscarriage, she was given anesthesia and felt no pain. But she could sense the little life slipping away, could feel her belly becoming so very, very empty. It was as if her heart had suddenly emptied. Zane Pei cherished the baby in Mirachin's belly so much that Ru Lin thought he would stay by Mirachin's side to accompany her. Little did she know he was actually in their marital home. She hadn't allowed the servants to clean the room, leaving the master bedroom floor in complete disarray. With red-rimmed eyes, he knelt halfway on the ground trying to piece together the shattered glass photo frame, but after several attempts he realized it was all in vain. "Darling." Seeing her enter, he carefully set down the broken pieces in his hands and stepped forward to pull her tightly into his embrace. His voice, unusually heavy with anxiety, trembled as he asked, "How did our photo get broken? Our wedding will go smoothly, won't it?" Ru Lin froze for a brief moment. Zane Pei was determined to escape the marriage and seek revenge on her, but she never expected him to show such a nervous expression. She could only say that his acting skills had improved yet again. Without exposing his pretense, she crouched down slightly, gently cupped his face and played along with his act. "I accidentally broke the photo together. Fortunately, we have the negatives. I've already reordered the display stand. We've prepared for our wedding for so long and we love each other so much. How could it not go smoothly? Yes, our wedding will definitely go smoothly." Zane Pei held her tightly, with such force as if he wanted to crush her into his very being. It was as if he truly loved her deeply. "Honey, you seem to have lost weight." He was already holding her tightly, yet his arms continued to tighten bit by bit. After holding her for a long while, he reluctantly let go and asked, "Haven't you been eating well lately? What would you like for lunch? I'll cook something delicious for you." Before Ru Lin could respond, his phone notification abruptly chimed. Another message from the German client. "Brother Pei, I'm feeling a bit unwell. Could you come keep me company?" Zane Pei slightly furrowed his brows and replied with a dark expression, "I don't have time today. Are you with Sister Ru Lin? Have you really fallen in love with Sister Ru Lin?" He typed quickly as if trying to cover up. "How could that be possible? Just looking at her makes me sick. There's no way I could love her. I'll go accompany you right now. Just looking at her makes me sick." Ru Lin curled her lips mockingly. How pitiful he must feel. Noticing Ru Lin staring intently at his phone screen, Zane Pei's eyes flickered with a trace of unease. But remembering that Ru Lin as a dance student knew no German at all, he quickly regained his usual composure and confidence. "Darling, there's another issue with the business in Germany. I need to go to the company and won't be able to make lunch for you. I'll definitely come back early tonight and cook something delicious for you, my dear." Ru Lin smiled, her half-lowered eyelids concealing the cold mockery in her eyes. "All right, make me a strawberry cake tonight." He had no idea that almost as soon as he drove away, Ru Lin received a phone call. After confirming that Zane Pei was cheating with Mirachin, Ru Lin had someone investigate Mirachin. Seeing how enthusiastically he supported Mirachin, Ru Lin also decided to sponsor Remy Chen. Remy Chen's grandmother's surgery was very successful, and now Remy Chen has been brought to her spacious downtown apartment, waiting to meet her. She had seen photos of Remy Chen before. She never imagined that in person he would be even more striking than in the photos. Even comparable to Zane Pei's face, which has been praised by countless media as divine beauty. "Miss, thank you for saving my grandmother." Upon seeing her, Remy Chen thanked her with neither servility nor arrogance, showing no signs of being a kept man, neither fawning nor cynical. Ru Lin couldn't help but take another glance at him. Zane Pei hugged her tightly once more before reluctantly leaving, turning back to look at her every few steps. Interestingly enough, half a year ago Mirachin had already moved into the villa Zane Pei gifted her, but just 2 months ago she even confessed her feelings to Remy Chen, the poor but handsome school heartthrob she had secretly admired for years. However, the confession failed. Clearly Mirachin wants both men. Remy Chen is truly quite poor. He lives with his elderly grandmother who was recently involved in a severe car accident. The driver fled the scene, leaving the heavy burden of raising funds for her surgery entirely on his shoulders. It is said that the surgery costs 500,000, and if the operation cannot be performed within a week, his grandmother won't survive. Mirachin is the impoverished student sponsored by Zane Pei. Coincidentally, she was quite interested in Remichin as well. After hanging up the phone, she drove straight to her downtown residence. In the photos, the young man had a jade-like cool demeanor, standing tall like a resilient pine tree, his face so handsome it seemed meticulously carved. She thought, with beauty filters being so prevalent these days, the photos must have been enhanced, and the real Remichin would surely be plainer than in the pictures. She didn't come today to hear his thanks. She asked directly, "Do you know how to kiss?" Remichin blushed instantly. His pale ears quickly flushed crimson, like the rosy clouds at dusk staining flawless white jade. Clearly, the reserved and introverted young man hadn't expected Rulin to be so unrestrained and straightforward. Rulin also disliked forcing others. "If you don't know how, forget it. I can find someone else." "I do." Before she could finish her sentence, the young man, like a lone wolf awakened, stepped forward and, with restrained yet firm dominance, cupped the back of her head. Then his perfectly curved thin lips pressed down. It made Rulin's gums ache. Completely unskilled and without any technique, Rulin seriously suspected this was his first kiss. Her gums ached again and Rulin couldn't help but frown and ask, "Haven't you kissed anyone before?" "You?" Questioned by her about his skills, the youth's obsidian-like eyes barely contained emotions that surged into an impenetrable black hole. He abruptly deepened the kiss, inch by inch, as if determined to crush her crimson lips and devour them whole. His learning ability was truly impressive. At first, when his teeth accidentally grazed her, Rulin found it uncomfortable. But later she was kissed into a daze, her eyes glistening with desire. The young man's aura was as fresh and sweet as a spring breeze. His large hands with distinct knuckles were lean yet exuded strength. When they touched Rulin, she was sent straight to the clouds from the very beginning. "Sister, are you satisfied with me?" At some point, his way of addressing her had changed from miss to sister. Rulin responded to his words with action. He raised his face and she immediately stood on tiptoe, pressing him against the wall beside them. At the moment when his kiss made her tremble all over, Rulin couldn't help but think, no wonder men are so fond of youthful, beautiful bodies. Such tender flesh, she liked it too. Only she had just had a miscarriage today, making many things inconvenient. After their passionate kiss, she still held his hand back. "Not today. I just had an abortion." "Sister." Whether it was Rulin's illusion or not, she thought she saw a flash of heartache quickly pass through his eyes. He didn't kiss her further but instead carefully embraced her in his arms. "Sister, I'll take good care of you." Hearing her stomach growl, he gently released her. "I'll cook you some red date porridge. When my neighbor's wife had a miscarriage, my grandmother used to make her red date porridge." Rulin wanted to say it wasn't necessary. She didn't often stay here, so there were no ingredients in the fridge. However, the young man was quick to act. Seeing her kitchen was empty, he immediately went to the supermarket downstairs and returned with bags of groceries. Not only did she drink the red date porridge, but she also enjoyed several hot dishes that were a feast for the eyes, nose, and palate. In the evening, she even got to savor the strawberry cake she had been longing for. As the night grew darker, Remichin massaged her belly and then kissed her until she was almost breathless. Just as she was about to tell him to stop kissing her so wildly, Zane Pei unexpectedly called. Zane Pei spoke to her, his voice as magnetic, pleasant, patient, and doting as ever, yet Rulin felt an inexplicable chill in her heart. "Busy with work." "Huh. Is he busy accompanying his little girl?" However, she didn't expose his pretense. She tenderly cared for him, saying, "Don't overwork yourself, I'll remember to miss you." Rulin was infatuated with youthful, beautiful flesh, and it wasn't until late the next night that she returned to the marital home she shared with Zane Pei. Last night, Remichin had set her phone to silent, and during the time she spent entangled with him, she hadn't bothered to check her phone. Only after entering the living room did she notice that Mirachin had sent her several video clips. Amidst the blooming fireworks, she and Zane Pei were seen kissing passionately, their lips lingering. Under the starlight and moonlight, they indulged in intimate acts at the amusement park. The message she sent her was utterly provocative. "Sister Rulin, has Brother Pei ever set off fireworks for you? Has he ever rented out an entire amusement park for you? Do you know how many times Brother Pei took me at the amusement park last night? A woman unloved is truly pitiable. Sister Rulin, you're so pathetic. Mira Qin sent her many more messages afterward, but Rulin didn't continue reading. Her thoughts couldn't help but drift far, far away. So she let him go. Zane Pei had once rented out an amusement park and set off fireworks for her all night. Amidst the dazzling display he kissed her deeply, his emotions overwhelming, whispering endless vows. Darling, in this lifetime I'll only set off fireworks for you. Darling, in this lifetime I'll only love you. Till death do us part. Once she foolishly took it to heart, truly believing they could have a love stronger than gold with no regrets in this life. What a pity she was never Zane Pei's one and only. Darling. Rulin had just gone upstairs when Zane Pei rushed out of the side bedroom, his face deathly pale. His unrestrained peach blossom eyes, usually so carefree, were now unusually tinged with fragility and panic. With crimson-tinged eyes he stared unblinkingly at Rulin, his voice even trembling slightly. Why are all our wedding photos ruined? The wedding dress is torn to pieces too. Darling, don't you want to marry me anymore? Oh, he had seen everything. Actually, he hadn't seen everything yet. If he opened the wardrobe he would find it was also in complete disarray. All the gifts he had given her, everything she had made for him with her own hands, she had utterly destroyed them and thrown them into the wardrobe. Seeing her remain silent, standing there woodenly, the unease in his eyes grew even heavier. Darling, what's really wrong with you? Are you leaving me? Rulin held him without sincerity. How could that be? He carried the scent of Mira Qin's perfume on him. She frowned tightly, overwhelmed by the strong floral fragrance. Yet she mustered all her acting skills to feign affection and coax him. The wedding photos made me look so chubby. Maybe I've really gained weight recently. Yesterday when I tried on the wedding dress, it felt so tight. In a fit of anger I cut up the wedding dress. But right after I regretted it. I've already asked a friend to rush a new dress for me, and I'll have the wedding photos retouched too. Hearing her words he let out a slight sigh of relief. Yet the unease deep in his heart simply wouldn't fade. He held her tightly, burying his face in the crook of her neck. Wife, tell me you'll never leave me. Rulin numbly humored him, saying I love you. I'll never leave you. By the way, this is my wedding gift for you. As she spoke, Rulin placed an exquisitely wrapped gift box into his hands. Seeing the gift box, Zane Pei's eyes instantly lit up and he eagerly tried to open it. Rulin stopped him. Wait until our wedding day to open it. This is my surprise for you, and if you open it now, it won't be a surprise anymore. Inside this gift box lies her miscarriage record. They once had a child, but it vanished on the day he accompanied Mira Qin for a prenatal checkup. This is something he ought to know. Alright, I'll open it on our wedding day. Zane Pei clung to Rulin with near obsession, murmuring over and over, our wedding will proceed smoothly, we'll be together forever. Rulin obediently pressed her face against his chest, her bright and beautiful little face filled with cold mockery. In the world of adults, most emotions are feigned, where is there any such thing as forever? Perhaps addicted to his acting skills after that day, Zane Pei no longer stayed out all night. Apart from work he couldn't bear to be apart from Rulin for even a moment. In the blink of an eye, it was the eve of his wedding with Rulin. In fact, he had even begun to fear that his wedding with Rulin might not proceed smoothly. Darling, we're getting married tomorrow. I'm so happy. Honey, there's a problem with the company's order to Germany. I need to go out. Fearing something might happen to Mira Qin, he didn't dare delay for a second. After saying this, he didn't even bother to put on his coat and rushed out of the master bedroom. Rulin's peach blossom eyes were utterly lifeless, and in the end she let out a cold, self-mocking laugh. His business in Germany must be really busy. The teacher had bought a flight ticket for 2 a.m. originally. Zane Pei had been clinging to her, and she was worried it would be hard to slip away. Tonight, Mira Qin's little trick actually worked in her favor. Never looking back. These people thrived on excitement and took pleasure in teasing others. His original plan was to take a private jet tonight with Zhou Shu and others to the island he had previously purchased, making Rulin the laughingstock of the entire capital by exposing her disgraceful behavior at tomorrow's wedding. Yet inexplicably, as the wedding date drew nearer, his thoughts of fleeing the ceremony grew fainter. On the luxurious bed, Zane Pei tightly embraced Rulin. Just as he was about to lean in for a deep kiss, his phone rang urgently. Seeing the caller ID showing it was a German client, a struggle quickly flashed in his eyes. After freezing for a moment, he still answered the call. "Brother Pei, save me. There are several thugs following me, ah." The next second, it seemed someone snatched Mirachin's phone, and the call was abruptly hung up. Zane Pei's expression completely changed. Just as she had expected, it didn't take long before she came across the WeChat post Mirachin had shared, visible only to her. "No matter when, as long as I want, he will be by my side." The accompanying photo shows a side view of her and Zane Pei sharing a passionate kiss. Ru Lin gave it a like, took a screenshot, then immediately pulled out the suitcase she had already prepared and quickly walked out of the master bedroom. Upon arriving at the airport, she called her best friend to discuss the arrangements for tomorrow's wedding. Then she removed her phone card, snapped it in half, threw it away, and walked step by step into the airport. "Brother Pei, when are we heading to the island?" After Zane Pei sent Mirachin home, he was called by his friends, including Zhou Shu, to a private room for drinks. The thought of Zane Pei disappearing without a trace at tomorrow's wedding, leaving Ru Lin to be mocked and scorned by all the guests, thrilled them beyond measure. Zhou Shu took a sip of wine, his face flushed with excitement. "I've prepared several women in advance, some even virgins, guaranteed to your liking, Brother Pei. By the way, Pei, since the whole world will know by tomorrow that you dumped Ru Lin, does that mean I can sleep with her tomorrow night?" As soon as Zhou Shu spoke up, Zane Pei's other friends eagerly chimed in. "Count me in too. Last night I even dreamed about Ru Lin. I dreamed I was... well, let's just say I had to change my sheets in the middle of the night. I've also dreamed about... Rula. That figure of hers is just perfect. Tomorrow night I'm definitely going to have her at least 7 times. Shuizi, I'm with you. Like I said before, with Ru Lin's face I could go 10 times in one night." But later it became increasingly difficult for him to deceive himself. As early as 6 years ago, when he first met Ru Lin, his heartbeat had already lost its rhythm. To this day he still can't forget the peerless radiance of the girl in a bright red dress, dancing gracefully at the center of the stage. Bang! Zhou Shu trembled a few more times before finally speaking up. "You're not planning to take revenge on Ru Lin anymore?" Zane Pei's friends are all a wild bunch. They don't hold back on dirty jokes in their daily banter. Moreover, they knew that Zane Pei was only getting close to Ru Lin to seek revenge, harboring not an ounce of sincerity toward her, merely toying with her emotions. Eager to curry favor with Zane Pei, they spoke of Ru Lin with even greater disdain. In the past, Zane Pei constantly convinced himself that he didn't love Ru Lin. His approach to her was nothing more than a charade. So to prove he truly didn't care about Ru Lin, he never stopped his so-called friends from belittling her, even though he couldn't suppress the murderous rage boiling inside him. He didn't want to admit it, but that was the truth. That one glance, he could no longer look away. A glance that felt like eternity. "Alright, tomorrow night, Zhaofeng, you strip her clothes off, you take the top, I'll take the..." Hearing Zhou Shu and the others' words grow increasingly vulgar, Zane Pei could no longer hold back. He grabbed the unopened bottle of white liquor in front of him and hurled it fiercely at Zhou Shu. The glass bottle shattered at Zhou Shu's feet, the liquor mixing with broken shards and splashing onto him, instantly silencing him in fright. The others in the private room were also as silent as cicadas in winter. They looked at each other, but for a moment none dared to speak. "I won't run away from the wedding tomorrow." In the silence they heard Zane Pei's icy yet relieved voice. "From now on, show some respect to my wife. If I ever hear any of you coveting her again, even if you're my closest brothers, I won't go easy on you." "Brother Pei, are you really not planning to run away from the wedding anymore? Tomorrow you all better behave as groomsmen. If anyone dares to reveal that I once planned to run away from the wedding, I, Zane Pei, will never forgive them." Zhou Shu actually wanted to ask if he had genuinely fallen for Ru Lin while pretending to be in love. But he wasn't foolish. Seeing how Zane Pei was defending Ru Lin, even without asking, he knew Brother Pei was truly smitten. While their families were indeed wealthy, their influence was nowhere near that of the Pei family. Their businesses still relied on the Pei group for survival. Now that Zane Pei had clearly developed feelings for Ru Lin, they wouldn't dare to continue looking down on her. Zhaofeng even changed his tone directly. "Brother Pei, you plan to settle down with your wife. Then what about Mirachin? I heard she's pregnant." I'll give her a sum of money and arrange for her to go abroad. At the mention of Mirachin, Zane Pei's eyes turned cold, devoid of any warmth. Thinking about tomorrow when Rulin would become his bride, a hint of warmth slowly surfaced in his cold, deep eyes. Everyone better perform well tomorrow. Whoever dares to ruin my wedding and make my wife unhappy, I'll kill them. Wife. Facing the empty bed before him, Zane Pei was instantly overwhelmed with panic. That familiar unease swallowed his heart whole, making even a single breath an ordeal. Zane, the wedding dress I had a friend custom make for me is ready. After reading this note, his anxious heart finally settled down. So she went out late at night to get ready at the hotel. He stepped forward, grabbed the car keys and wanted to go to the hotel to find her. Early in the morning, Zane Pei also went to the hotel. His subordinates had already delivered the custom-tailored suit made by the master to the hotel. With his striking looks and tall, upright figure, wearing the suit handcrafted by the master only enhanced his elegance and unparalleled handsomeness. After changing his clothes, he went to the wedding venue accompanied by several groomsmen, eagerly awaiting his bride. He thought that since today was their wedding day, Rulin must be especially excited and would arrive early at the venue just like him. But after waiting for a long time at the wedding venue, she still hadn't appeared. He told himself that it must be because girls love to look beautiful and needed more time for makeup. Zane Pei spent quite a bit of time with Mirachin tonight, and by the time he left the private room, it was already past 3 a.m. He thought Rulin would be sound asleep in bed, but to his surprise when he returned to the bridal suite, Rulin wasn't in bed at all. He quickly grabbed his phone, desperate to call Rulin to confirm she would never leave him and that their wedding tomorrow would proceed without a hitch, when he noticed a note pressed on the nightstand. I'll go to the hotel to get ready first. Don't come peeking. At the wedding I want to give you a surprise. However, considering she wanted to surprise him, she surely wouldn't want him to see her in her wedding dress and full bridal attire now. So he suppressed the urge to meet her and decided to wait until the wedding the next day to see her. He waited a little longer for her. However, even when the auspicious time for the wedding arrived, she still hadn't shown up. Brother Pei, what's going on with your wife? Zhou Shu and the others grew impatient and couldn't help but say, how could she be late on such an important day? Shall we go to the dressing room and hurry your sister-in-law along? I'll go check. Zane Pei was worried Rulin might be feeling unwell and went to look for her himself. Brother Pei, it's my first time wearing this kind of outfit, it feels so strange. Beautiful. No sooner had he lifted his foot than he heard his own voice and Mirachin's. Suddenly realizing something, he abruptly raised his head and saw, on the previously silent large LCD screen, his own face and Mirachin's. Mirachin was dressed in a cat-themed lingerie, her eyes filled with anticipation and eagerness as she gazed at him. After saying this, he playfully tugged the cat tail behind her, then suddenly cupped the back of her head and kissed her urgently. He and Mirachin hadn't even made it to the car before her provocative outfit was already in complete disarray. In the moment of their intimacy, Mirachin gasped and asked him, Brother Pei, do you like me more or do you prefer Sister Rulin? Hearing Mirachin's words, Zane Pei's face instantly turned as pale as paper. He couldn't help but recall that night in the car and the absurdity between him and Mirachin. Thinking of his response that night, the color drained completely from his face. They were provocative messages from Mirachin to Rulin. Sister Rulin, you must have guessed it, the child in my belly is Brother Pei's. Brother Pei said that doing it with an old woman like you, as lifeless as a dead fish, is especially dull. He prefers lively young girls like me, he'd rather die on me. These messages flashed briefly across the LCD screen. Next, there was a video of him passionately kissing Mirachin amidst the fireworks display. The subsequent videos were even more explosive. Even with the key parts blurred, it was clear that he and Mirachin were entangled in ambiguous, wild and frenzied moments at the amusement park. Following these videos were provocative messages sent to her by Mirachin. Even last night, Mirachin posted a WeChat moment visible only to her to provoke her. That bitch Mirachin, how dare she? Who in the vast capital city doesn't know that young Master Pei is madly in love with Rulin? All the guests at the scene thought today would be a grand wedding, sincerely wishing the happy couple a lifetime of love and harmony. Sure enough, nearly half a minute later he heard his own voice say, just a plaything for amusement, how could it compare to you? Before he could recover from the shock and pain, he saw the scrolling messages on the LCD screen. Who would have thought that such a farce would be displayed on a large LCD screen? The crowd erupted in an uproar. What's going on? Is young Master Pei cheating? He loves Miss Lin so much, how could he cheat? Not just cheating, young Master Pei even got that mistress pregnant with his child. Could it be that the other woman is actually Zane Pei's true love? I think I just heard him say that Miss Lin is nothing more than a plaything to him. Isn't Zane Pei just toying with Ru Lin's feelings? That's so despicable. Zane Pei paid no attention to the murmurs around him. He now desperately wants to see Ru Lin. He wants to tell her that in his heart she was never just a plaything for amusement. Nor did she stop Zane Pei, taking a few steps aside to let him charge into the dressing room. Darling. Back then when he slept with Mirachin, he wanted to prove that Ru Lin wasn't the only one for him. Staring at the empty vanity table, the panic and unease in his heart grew heavier. He turned around, swiftly dashed out of the dressing room and tightly gripped Su Yutong's wrist. Where is my wife? Su Yutong, you've hidden her, haven't you? Where exactly have you hidden my wife? She curled her lips mockingly, and when she looked at him, her beautiful eyes were filled with sarcasm. Zane Pei, Ru has no one to rely on. In her eyes, you're her family and the person she loves most. How dare you play with her feelings like this? How dare you let your mistress humiliate her like this? You, with your fickle heart and treacherous nature, don't deserve Ru. I never thought Mirachin would dare to send her that kind of message. From the very first moment he saw her, he had already uncontrollably fallen for her. He doesn't love Mirachin, doesn't care about the child in her womb, he only wants to be with her. He didn't dare to delay for a moment, rushing toward the dressing room like a madman. Ru Lin's best friend, Su Yutong, lazily leaned against the dressing room door. As if she had long anticipated Zane Pei's arrival, not a trace of shock or confusion appeared on her strikingly beautiful face. Zane Pei had mentally prepared himself for Ru Lin to scold him or hate him. But the truth proved that the one he truly loved and feared losing the most was only Ru Lin. He couldn't live without her. Even if he had to kneel and beg, he hoped she would give him one last chance. He rushed over, having imagined countless possibilities, but never expected that Ru Lin wasn't even in the dressing room. In fact, the spacious dressing room didn't have a single trace of makeup or cosmetics meant for a bride. Facing his interrogation, Su Yutong showed not a trace of panic on her face. Ru didn't tell me where she went. I just received a text message at 2 a.m. this morning, asking me to help her play a few videos. Zane Pei kept murmuring to himself, I wasn't toying with her feelings. I fell for her, I like her, I really like her. I can't live without her. Yes, she must have gone home. She's waiting for me to go back and apologize. I'll go home right now and apologize to her. Zane Pei suddenly released Su Yutong's wrist, his eyes bloodshot as he dashed frantically toward the hotel exit. Su Yutong shook her head with a cold smile. Ru Lin was a girl who couldn't tolerate the slightest speck in her eye. She truly hadn't told her where she went. But given Ru Lin's personality, since she was already completely disappointed in Zane Pei, how could she possibly wait for him in their marital home? However, she didn't stop Zane Pei, nor did she waste any more words on him. Belated affection is cheaper than grass. When Ru Lin loved him deeply, he freely belittled and toyed with her feelings. Now that he has broken her heart, she no longer wants him. Who does he think he's fooling with this act of undying devotion? She only hopes that Ru Lin can quickly move past the shadow left by that scumbag and embrace a brighter, happier life. Zane Pei raced back at full speed and soon arrived at the marital home he shared with Ru Lin. On the way, he tried calling Ru Lin several times but couldn't get through. He vaguely sensed something, but he refused to accept it. He still clung to the faint hope of finding her in their wedding home. She wasn't in the master bedroom either. He asked the servants, but they all said they hadn't seen her. Yes, not long ago she had even given him a wedding gift, saying she wanted to surprise him. She cared about him and he would certainly not abandon her. That gift box was carefully locked away by him in the bedside drawer. He quickly opened the bedside drawer and took out that gift box. Clutching the exquisite gift box tightly as if grasping the last lifeline, he hurriedly opened it with trembling fingers. He hoped that she would leave a few words in this gift box. He saw a note. But on that note there was no blame, no complaint, no reluctance, nor any mention of where she had gone, just 5 coldly written words. I am fluent in German. Is she fluent in German? Zane Pei's mind exploded with a bang. He couldn't help but recall the phone call he had answered by the crystal piano half a month ago. He had thought she didn't understand German, so he had spoken freely with his friends about his plan to escape the wedding. He said he got close to her just to take revenge on her deceased elder brother. He said he only wanted to toy with her to see her humiliated. Even worse, his gang of despicable friends lewdly coveted her body, talking about wanting her 7 or 8 times in one night, or even several of them taking turns with her, and he chose to tolerate it. He could tell she liked him unreservedly. She loved him with all her heart, but he only treated her as a plaything, even allowing his friends to belittle her. How heartbroken and desperate must she have been at that time. Yet back then she didn't confront him, didn't cry or make a scene, she was eerily quiet. At the time he didn't know she spoke German, so naturally he didn't think much of it. Now recalling the expression on her face back then, it struck him, it was the unsettling calm of a heart that had already died. Was it from that moment that she had already decided to leave him? That night Mirachin dressed as a catgirl to please him, but her gaze remained fixed on his phone screen. What was she thinking at that time? She must have deeply regretted ever loving Zane Pei, didn't she? Yes, later on he even sent messages to Mirachin right in front of her. He said in German that he could never love her, that just looking at her made him sick. How utterly disappointed must she have been in him, to leave without even saying goodbye. What on earth has he done? Beneath this note there was another sheet of paper pressed underneath. Noticing this paper, a glimmer of hope flashed in his pained, lifeless eyes. He quickly unfolded the paper, hoping to find some trace of her lingering affection or reluctance toward him. But there was none. He did see a few large characters. Abortion record form. He recognized every single one of these characters. Yet somehow, no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't comprehend the meaning they formed when put together. Or perhaps he dared not comprehend the meaning of those words. His lips trembled in agony, and his fingers shook so violently that he could barely hold on to the flimsy abortion record. In the end he lowered his gaze and continued to read the abortion record. The abortion record bore a date. That day he accompanied Mirachin to the hospital for her prenatal checkup and even ran into her in the obstetrics and gynecology department. He thought she was there to accompany her cousin for a prenatal checkup. Only now did he finally understand she wasn't accompanying anyone for a checkup that day. She had gone to have an abortion. How could she not want their child? After learning about this, Zane Pei was practically going insane. Without even caring that he could barely hold the car keys steady, he rushed to the hospital by car. He was desperate to confirm that the abortion record was fake. It must have been deliberately forged by her to punish him and make him suffer. Before long he arrived at the hospital's obstetrics and gynecology department. "Doctor, please take a look. This abortion record is fake, isn't it?" Spotting a doctor standing by the door of the abortion room, he rushed forward, trembling fingers gripping her wrist as he pressed urgently for answers. Coincidentally, the doctor standing outside the abortion room happened to be the very one who had performed Ru Lin's surgery that day. She performs numerous abortion procedures every day, so theoretically, it's impossible for her to remember every patient. But Ru Lin was exceptionally beautiful, stunningly so, the kind of beauty that leaves a lasting impression. That day after calling her number, Ru Lin even ran away and only returned after some time, which made her stand out in her memory. But after she spoke with you in the hallway for a few words, somehow she turned back again. I was afraid she might regret it, so I tried to persuade her, but she was very determined and didn't want to keep the child. What exactly did you say to her? Why did she suddenly become so resolute? That child is already 2 months old and now to abort it. Sigh, what a pity. Whatever the female doctor behind him said next, Zane Pei seemed unable to hear. At this moment his mind was completely filled with the words the doctor had just spoken. Ru Lin had actually regretted it. She had originally intended to keep that child. But after running into him and Mirachin in the hospital hallway, she no longer wanted the child. At that time she had clearly already guessed that the child Mirachin was carrying was his. Yes, Mirachin even deliberately sent messages to provoke her. It was he who caused the death of their child. In truth, she had been giving him chances all along. Zane Pei had no idea how he made it back to the bridal chamber. Unforgettable at first sight. Later, deeply rooted in affection, unable to extricate oneself, yet still stubbornly refusing to admit it. He mobilized all his forces to search for her. She glanced at the abortion record sheet in Zane Pei's hand and answered truthfully, "This is indeed our hospital's abortion record. Rulin, I remember her. Yes, I think I saw you that day too." She had scheduled an abortion, but when it was her turn she changed her mind. His Rue, with eyes that couldn't tolerate a single grain of sand, how could she possibly keep their flesh and blood after learning of his infidelity and that he'd gotten another woman pregnant with his child? Yet he squandered opportunity after opportunity, shattered her heart, lost her and lost their child as well. After Ru Lin fled the wedding, he felt as if his soul had left his body. What remained was merely a numb, walking corpse. To his near despair, he realized he loved Ru Lin far more than he had ever imagined. Falling in love at first sight,